If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I post a lot of pictures of the things that I cook. And many people have asked, well, why don't you make a video? Show us how you do it. So this is one of those videos. Hope you enjoy. Today we're going to be setting up the Weber Kettle, and it will be used as a smoker. This is the Weber Kettle. It's not all that fancy. However, it does have one addition. And the addition is a smoker port that I put in there myself. You can see it from this side. Going here. I guess two additions. This is a piece of threaded electrical extension, the nipple they call them. I just bored a hole with a drill and stuck it in there. And then I got this nice port right there that I put on using the same drill. And that allows me to pass the cables through and not end up with leakage out of the top or the sides of the grill. So that hole right there, critical. And then that guy, a nice convenience. I've also made this part, and this is done out of a piece of galvanized metal. There we go. And I just snipped it out to size and bent it up. And what that does is it cuts down the airflow where the air comes in from the fan. So we'll go and snap that back on there. And it just slides right into place. Oops. There we go. Nice. Today I'm going to be using a Tappecue with the Cruise Control attachment. The Cruise Control is a fan controller, and you can purchase it just as the fan controller, or you can buy it with the fans. Because I'm that kind of guy, I went and I bought the fan and the thermocouple that goes with it, and so on. So we are good to go with all of our pieces and parts. Know that this particular fan does require power coming in, so you can see that there is a transformer sitting there, and that will generate power during the course of the cook. I'm also using these Kingsford hardwood briquettes, as well as some apple, and we'll put those apple chunks on a little bit later. The Tappecue unit is here, and the Tappecue right there is a wireless meat, well, I guess I shouldn't say meat, really anything you want to grill, and I really like it. Super useful. It has a Wi-Fi capability, so you don't need to be near it to be able to see the temperatures. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at that. Really good equipment here. You also see some Reynolds wrap. We're going to use that to create our airflow, or to restrict our airflow, and that's important because as we get into the smoking part of the adventure here today, we want to make sure that all of the air that's being supplied by the fan is going directly to the bottom of where the briquettes will be and nowhere else in the chamber. The Cruise Control attaches to the other side of the nipple. You can see it there. It just kind of screws on. Yeah, it takes a little bit of effort to get it lined up just so. That's about right there. So we'll leave it there. You'll notice it's got a wire hanging out the bottom. I use these cable turtles. Makes it easy to manage, and we'll be plugging that into the controller in a few minutes. It's important when you're setting up the smoker to constrain the airflow so that it only comes up through the bottom of where the coals will be. You can see I've got the little coal hod there that came with the cooker, and then the grate on the bottom. We've got to cover that up with aluminum foil. I've cut a piece of aluminum foil to fit, and I'm going to cover the whole thing for now, and then what we'll do is we will back off a portion of it to match that. So just cover this up. Simple, right? Just wrap it around. And that will be more than sufficient to block the airflow. Now you don't want to go all the way to the end there. Leave that untucked. See, that doesn't quite get there, and that's where we're going to put the hod. So now, if I put that on there, I'm not quite sure from looking at this where it's going to end up. So let's get it into the cooker. Now this is important. You can see where the air is going to come in. We want to make sure that the coal is going to end up on the opposite side. So pop that in there. Let that sit. Yes, there's going to be some leakage around the outside. I understand that. But for the majority of the air, it's going to end up coming through here. if we put the coal hod on there now, and we get it right backed up, what we want to do is make sure that we're clearing away from here to there, all right, and then leave the rest of it covered up. So you can see where we're going to go. Put that in there. It's going to be to there. So I'll just take this and roll it, and that helps me to see where it's going to end up getting torn back. Do this by hand, right? Peel that to there. Do the same over here. Thankfully, this stuff is pretty forgiving. If you need to open it up a little bit, you just kind of peel it back. Great. So fold it. There we go. So if we put that back on there, you can see that the open parts of the foil are now, we're going to adjust that. Oh, that's perfect right there. Are all inside where the coal is going to go. It's a pretty good deal. I put the hod back in there, and I've got coal piled up to the, almost to the top of the hod. You can see that in there. And then I put the grate on top of that with the opening so that I can add the burning coals a little bit later. I've also added an offset stand so that I can put more of the vegetables in there. We're going to be making some salsa, so I want to make sure that I've got room for the peppers and the onions. And then last thing we have to do before this is ready to start adding fire is to add our thermometer, or our temperature probe. So over here I have temperature probe. You can see it there. It's in the cable turtle. I'll get it opened up for us. Should be more than enough there. All right. And that just goes right through the port. And then we'll put it in here. All right, plenty of room. Put this clip on there. Hard with one hand, but doable. All right, two hands now. There we go. Okay, let's get the clip on there, and then we'll just pop that about right here in the middle, and we'll pile things around it so it'll be picking up a medium temperature, a little bit away from the fire, which is what we want, so we can get a pretty good sense of where what our temperatures are. All right, one last thing here. Let's talk about the grates, or sorry, the ports, the vents. The vents should be closed on the bottom, so we'll get that shut down. There we go. And on the top, we'll have open a little bit. And the top will go like this. All right, and I want just a little bit open, so we will crack that just a whisker, and that's going to allow plenty of smoke to come out, but most of the smoke to stay in. And because we added the port, this is going to allow no gaps, or should afford no gaps in here, or very small gaps all the way around the kettle. Okay, so let's talk briefly about the cruise control. The cruise control right here is a device that allows the Tappecue touch, which is right there, to talk to it and control its function, as in on or off. Don't have to use their fan. You can use any other fan you like, but I like the package and I like that they all match in terms of color. So how do we hook it up? You can see that there's a fan port, there's a power port in the center, and then there's a third one that actually goes back to the Tappecue itself so that it can receive that signal to turn on and off. And they provide you with this splitter. So there's a splitter, and it's important that you put them in the right ports. So white is the one that goes to the Tappecue Cruise Control, and then the red one goes to the thermometer, or to the temperature. So we've got the temperature probe here, and we'll just add it to the end there. There we go. Okay, so now I've got the two ends of that connected. I've got power, which is on my green cable turtle. Plug that in here. So last thing, of course, is to attach the fan itself. So there we go. And nothing's happening because the Tappecue hasn't told the cruise control it's time to do something. So we need to put the controller in there. So I've got this plug here, and it goes into one of the ports on the Tappecue. I like to use number 1, and you can see that I've got this rubber band on there, and that's just going to guarantee that the plug doesn't shift on me during the course of the cook. One of the things that has dogged me is that plug can get, it can move a little bit, and that can cause some issues with the cruise control. So by sticking that elastic on there, it's going to make sure that it stays nice and firm. Wait a second, I'll pull that out here. All right, so into port number 1, see it there, and then pull I'll pull that right over there. Cool. All right, so then we need to set up the cook, and that we do not on the Tappecue itself, but instead using an app. Now, how much coal do we preheat or get going before we add it into the smoker? I don't use very much. You can see I've got just a layer covering the bottom of the chimney. That'll all get going and be more than enough to get us to temperature for the smoke. I'm going to let this run at about 225 degrees, and that's going to keep things a little bit hotter than you'd normally see for, say, a long-term dehydration of peppers. But my goal isn't to dehydrate the peppers, it's more to get smoke flavor into the peppers and then allow me to put that into a salsa. All right, so I've lit the chimney. We'll let that get going. In the meanwhile, we'll set up the cook. All right, so let's get the session started with the Tappecue. I've got this on my iPad. I normally use my phone, but for this purpose, we'll stick with the iPad. We'll build a new session. We'll give it a name. I guess we'll call this veggies. And then which Tappecue? I've got 2. I'm going to use the red one. And we'll move on. Next. I need to add some probes. So in this case, this is where it gets, you just want to make sure you do the right thing. So you're using a dual splitter. And then the first one is going to be the temperature that you want to know. Like in this case, for the vegetables, we'll see if I have one made for vegetables. I don't think I do. So we'll just go and say, it really doesn't even matter what it is. We'll just call it ambient temp for now. There's going to be no alarms on that, which is fine. And down here, this is going to be the cruise control, and this is important. So we have to make it be the cruise control, and we said we wanted our maximum temperature down here. We had said, I think I had said 2.25. So we'll set it to 2.25. I guess I should back up. All right, 2.25. There we go. And then we'll save it up there. And then next, and we are getting going. I want to make sure that my phone gets my alerts. Actually, I don't even really care about the alerts. Say start, it's going to run. Off we go. So this thing is now on, and it takes maybe a few seconds for it to show up over there in the cruise control, and we can view the current session here on the red Tappecue. So right now nothing's going on. Over here, and we'll see if it has caught on. There we go. So now it's caught up. And you can hear that just started. And the reason it started is because the temperature that's being measured by the thermometer is right now 56. But I don't want it to run. I haven't added the coal yet. It's still in there. So what I'm going to do is turn it off. So I can tap on that. And because it is, let me get this better. There we go. All right, so we'll go back and see this again. If I can hit the back button. My finger's too big. Stop it. All right, so start on the cruise itself. There it is. And then I want to tap on that control. I've just turned it to manual, you can see. I'll hit it again and turn it off. So I'm going to leave it off for now until we get it to the temperature we want it to be, and then that's when we will turn it back on. So the coals look pretty good. They don't have to be roaring hot, they just need to be burning. And I'm going to arrange them with my metal tongs here onto the coal hod, and that will ensure that I get a nice even burn. Almost there. Oh, broke one. Okay, done. All right, everything's on there, arranged, looking pretty good. Got my temperature sensor back where it belongs. You can see the smoke is coming up. We do need to prepare the grate, of course, so we'll put some oil on there. I've got oil on an onion. Put that up. And then we'll just run that over the grate. Make sure it gets on there. The objective here isn't to, lather it up, but I do want to at least give some type of protection to the grate. The vegetables will be on top of it. They're not going to be all that hot. But always good to have onion and oil. And this one I've already taken care of up top. I'll do that one too. I know it wasn't the best TV, but it's YouTube. You get what you get. All right, cool. So now we got everything all covered up. A little bit in the back. All right. Oh, the smoke is getting in my eyes. That's good news. So what I want to do now is to cover it up and let it get up to temperature, and then we'll add the vegetables. It won't take very long. Get seated down there, and we can come over here and watch the temperature. It's now 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Remember, we're going for 2 1/4. Won't take very long for this to get up to temperature, and then we can put the vegetables in and let it run for a few hours, and I'll have delicious salsa. All right, we're up to temperature, so let's get the veggies on and get the apple wood. I've got apple wood that we're going to use as our smoke. So we'll start with the jalapenos. And I got a bunch of those. Pop them on there. I've slit the tops, you can see that, so let some of the steam out. And I'll just lay them up there on top. Of course, over the course of the cook, they are going to dry right out. Skins will loosen up. Be very nice. Oops, almost there. Let's do this a different way. All right, cool. So that's all them and ready to go. And then we'll put up the red peppers and the onions. I'll pop these red peppers in underneath. I've taken the tops out, so we'll let the smoke get right in there. Do the same here. Right. And then the onions. Onions, I put a toothpick in there to hold them together. And I will stack them because there's a lot of space. There's a lot of onions. I want to make sure I can get them all in there. Okay. All the way around. And there we go. Okay, so this is good to go. Leave it like that. Last thing we need is some apple wood. Got this nice apple wood over here. And where I live, there are apple trees. So from time to time they do fall down and you're thinking, wow, that is a humongous chunk. Yep, but it will deliver a lot of smoke and I won't have to mess with it for quite some time. As long as I get the cover on, it won't burn. And voila, my friends. So the last thing to do is to turn the Tappecue on, and then we're just going to let it rip. You can see the temperature now is coming back up. I just put in all that cold stuff, so it's going to have an impact on it. But at this point, I am going to let it run to auto. You can hear that it turned on there. See, I've got a lot of smoke coming out now. I'm just going to let that go for a few hours. I'll come back out after 2 hours and check to make sure that we've got plenty of fuel. Might have to add some more cold on the top of it, but for the most part, we're good to go. This thing can run all day. I've had this easily running 8, 10, 12 hours without any trouble. And again, you just got to put some coal in it every once in a while. But if you can keep the seals tight, and you can see there is some smoke coming out around the edge, that's all right. It's not a tremendous amount. We are putting quite a bit of air in there right now. And then again, that will catch up and it will shut off. So we'll come back in a few moments just to prove that it does turn on and off when it gets up to temperature. So let's review what we've got here. We've got a blower fan right there. And what's going to happen is that all the air is going to stay underneath. It's going to go over here to where the fuel is. The fuel's up here, so it's going to flow up through it. And then ideally over the top and up through there, or, you know, you can see there's some leaking out the sides. We are just about at temperature here. You can see we're at 225. With the metric conversion, that should just about turn off here shortly. Alright, making a liar out of me there, Tappecue. There it is. So it's off, and it's just going to sit there and go. This, of course, will increase in temperature a little bit, but without any oxygen coming in to fuel the fire or to fan the flame, so to speak, it will come back down, and then the cruise control will pick it back up. There you go. Delicious salsa in many hours from now. Well, now you know how to set up your Weber Kettle as a smoker using a Tappecue Cruise Control. You, of course, could do this with other controllers and other fans and thermometers, but again, I happen to like the Tappecue, so if you are so inclined to go and buy one, do check that one out. Thanks.